All right, it looks loud. It looks like we're live, and watch your mics, guys. This is the Industry Pro Panel, just for some random topics we're going to throw out there and just talk about things that are going on in the industry. And we'll do a quick round-the-table introductions, starting over there.
Oh, starting over here.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Webb. I am the general manager of WizKids Games. I've worked a lot of different places in the industry, from Zaki Distributing back in the late 90s to Alliance Game Distributors for 21 years, and then for Paizo for 4 years after that. Recently joined the team over at WizKids. I gamer since puberty, since I picked up a red box D&D at a garage sale in 1981. So
Nice.
been around for a while.
Hi, I'm Paul Alexander Butler. I own Games and Stuff, a very large retail store outside of Baltimore. I'm also part owner of Free RPG Day. And I've been gaming since about 1979. At the age of 5, when my older brother taught me to play AD&D.
I'm Loren Coleman, owner and CEO of GameLabs, and I can't claim the 1970s. I think my first gaming experience was 1990 in the military. So I didn't discover gaming until I joined the military and realized that I needed some kind of life outside of gray.
So I've been playing Shadowrun longer than you've been gaming.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, looking at you, not so much, actually.
Fair.
Okay.
Hey, Jon Ritter. I am the former head of games at Kickstarter. I was there for about 5 years. Since then, I just left in March, and now I'm doing my own consulting through a company named Very Creative Name, and new publishing company coming out in the next month or two.
Very creative name?
Yes.
.com?
Yeah, but I don't have a website because I don't want to work with people I don't know.
Wow. All right.
Oh. And I'm Meredith Placko. I'm the CEO of TurboDork Paint Accessories, former CEO of Steve Jackson Games, and I've been gaming since I was 13, because I'm not going to say the year, but I actually got into gaming
2010.
Yeah, 2010,
obviously.
absolutely. No, I started reading the Dragonlance novels, which propelled me into playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And now I'm here doing things.
So we're going to bounce around on a few topics as we go. It's really just had a free forum. We're going to not spend too much time on any one thing. If we have an audience at some point, we may just take shouted questions. But mostly, I want to look at things that are affecting the gaming industry as a whole, from development through manufacture to publishing to retail, and everything in between. And one of the biggest topics that we've been dealing with in this last year has been tariffs, and the chaos that tariffs have been causing will continue to cause. And mostly, I want to take the chance for any of us to help clear up some of the misinformation that may be out there as to how this works. And I don't want to hold a class on it. But we can talk about what we've seen, what we've heard, and what we know. And I know that tariffs are a tax on the producer, on the production companies, on us, mostly on the publishers, catalystgamelabs, TurboDork. Now, but it doesn't just affect us. It's going to affect distribution. It's going to affect retail. It's going to affect the gamers out there.
Right.
But is there anything you've seen in the last few months that says, hey, this is positive, or, batten down, we're in for some more rocky roads? I mean, what have you seen, Mike?
Well, of course, the case is proceeding right now on whether or not the emergency economic situation justifies any of these powers that were vested in a very narrow sense into the executive. So the fact that we've got someone actually looking at it to say, hey, was there ever any authority for these to be placed in the first place? But the damage is done
so
right now.
So in 2 or 3 years, we may have an answer.
In 2 or 3 years, we'll have an answer to what happened back then. But the real issue is it goes beyond just the cost, just the production. It's played havoc with shipping. It's played havoc with shipping costs as the big guys, the big box stores have been taking up all the containers getting product. We've got container delays. We've got customs delays. It is more than just one little issue over who pays this, the customer, because we're paying it and we're not going to be able to absorb it without passing it along in some way.
It's disruptive.
It's utterly disruptive to the entire economy of the world, not just us.
And, ultimately, as everything now goes up in price, and we are starting to see this, the jobs report came out today. We've seen the economic news of what is now this week's tariffs information and rates. The more people have to pay for their everyday needs, how much are they going to be able to spend on their entertainment? How much are they going to be able to spend at their friendly local game store on our games? It's the fallout from this is going to be massive, and we might not feel it today. We might not feel it next week, 6 months from now, next year. we've already started to see shops close up. We've already started to see companies fold.
Yeah.
Where is it going to be next year? Because it's not a problem that even if it were solved today, even if tariffs magically went away today, they're still going to spiral out, and we're going to see devastating impact within our industry.
And I think that a lot of that is due to just the uncertainty.
Right.
I think this industry can adapt to a lot. I don't know if we can swear, but I'll just say a lot. And I think that if they were told tariffs are 200%, I think this industry would adapt. But this fluctuation of back and forth, like you can't, coming from Kickstarter, you can't run a Kickstarter in a year from now and be like, I wonder what the tariffs are going to be.
Yeah, sure. And like, as a retailer, I just feel like I'm strapped in, like I'm a capsule returning through the atmosphere in the middle of a chaos storm, because you guys are on the front lines as producers trying to weather all this, and I'm just like, well, I guess we're going to see what price increases look like, and the amount of person hours that we put into just doing price changes, and in some cases, some that we've even increased and then decreased again, and then wait, one distributor has the price for this product listed at X, and another has it listed as Y. We're just buckled in, holding on.
Who's right? Who had the right factor there? Is one of them under? Is one of them over?
Right, or sometimes I buy direct from a publisher and they're at price X, and then 3 weeks later when it comes through distro, it's at price Y, but I originally got it at more expensive direct because they've already done their tariff modifications. And it's pure chaos. I'm sure there are some prices that some of my customers look at now. They don't know why it's so high or why it's so low, or why the person down the street has a different price from me, and we're just winging it.
We are kind of winging it, because you can't go from 30% tariffs to 150 to 210, back to 50, down to 30, and they're going to change again next week. No one knows what they're going to be 7 days from now.
No.
And for the first time, it used to be when there was a tariff change, we knew about it well in advance, and there was an exception made as product was on the water.
Yep.
If it's already left port, it's going to come in under the rate. That stopped.
Oh, I got hit by that one.
So now we've got literally in the time. A theoretical container that was on the water when it went up to 145%, back down to 50, down to 30, roll percentile dice to see what it's going to be tomorrow. You literally don't know till it shows up.
Yeah.
Till it shows up at a port what it's going to be that day. And it's disruptive to every aspect of the business.
Yeah. And one thing I'm curious about, and this is for you, Paul, when the games get to the store, how much does the consumer understand the chaos? Or do they look at games and go, because I saw someone in the hall go, $30 for a card game, that's too much. But I'm wondering if they're knowledgeable.
I think it depends on the customer. I mean, so I only about 2 years ago relocated to a very large new location where I am exposed to a very different demographic. So a lot of my growth in the past couple of years has been to people that would not use the word gamer to describe themselves, but people that are much more casual board gamers, or they pick up books or Legos or things like that from me. Those folks aren't as tapped in, but I think the gamers, I mean, the communities online have been talking about tariffs ad nauseum for months. Yeah. So a lot of times they get it.
Gamers like to pay attention to the rules. They really want to understand.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, we're still in this space right now where, you can look at two comparable products on the shelf more than ever before, and the prices might be wildly different based on, when it was produced or the size of the producer. I mean, one of my very large suppliers just rolled out sweeping price changes, in the last 30 days, and they were not as bad as I was expecting. And in retrospect, it's probably because they're so large, they can do a little give and take, and here's a product that, might have a better profit margin, so they eat a little bit more there, whereas this thing over here, they can balance it out, whereas a lot of the smaller guys...
I was going to say, you think about the small and mid-level publishers, they can't be that agile.
No,
when I was running the publishing company, I had a spreadsheet ready a week after the election of potential tariff prices, because that's something I'd been paying attention to. I'm unique in this space because I also worked in journalism, and I try to be a lot more forward thinking. So I had stuff all the way from like 30% to 200% of how we would have to pivot. That being said, going back to the uncertainty of it, how are we able to even plan for next month, 6 months from now? Because when you make a board game, it's not just like, I have an idea, it's coming out next week. It takes time to design, layout, get proofs, eventually bring it over, and then sell it.
I think the average is 9 to 18 months.
Yep.
Like from conception to delivery.
And And how can I start to even begin to price that game for 18 months out from now if I don't know where the tariffs are going to be?
I mean, once all of this started really hitting, and the news was hitting, and everything got sort of thrown, I spent an absurd amount of money trying to bulwark my business against the coming chaos. And that meant, in a lot of cases, stocking up on evergreen bestsellers. Yeah. Evergreen bestsellers are one thing. Then you've got some of these products that have been produced by small to medium-sized publishers, and there's rarely a game that comes across my field of vision that I don't assume is limited edition at this point. Like the odds that this, if they try to go to reprint in 6 months, the math might not work anymore. Yep. Right. And I've even had specific instances where a reprint of a game has hit, and my distributor said to me, I don't think there's going to be any more of this. Yeah. So I have to make the decision, okay, is this a game that I want to have inventory on for the next 9 months, or do I just want to be done?
And I want to address something real quick. Some of the responses I've seen about tariffs are, why don't you make it in America? Because the manufacturing capabilities for doing board games and plastics are not here. Now, look, for my paint company, I am in a unique position because we manufacture all our paint in our facility, and that was a very mindful choice we did at the first Trump administration. But when I came into the publishing side, and we had to manufacture in China because there's no one stateside being able to make board games at the quantity that I need to order Munchkin at. Right. And then you think about the minimum order quantity that a lot of factories want. In America, they're looking at 20,000 copies. Right. In China, you can go as low as 1,500, which, again, if you're not Hasbro, if you're not WotC, if you're not the major players, you're not ordering tens of thousands of games.
Well, that's actually, so I want to dial this question even down a little farther, because I've heard a few people say this. Let's go around the table and talk about, from the point of view of just in general, everyone find a different answer here. Who does, what gets hurt by tariffs? Who's getting hurt? And I want to see 5 different answers here.
Everyone's getting hurt.
But specifically, who's getting hurt and why from this?
We're left in this choice. Let's leave out the instability. Let's just say that 50% was the number forever, right? Okay. Normally, this industry is very recession resistant. When a recession comes along, we sell dense entertainment. We sell entertainment in a box, and it is very value dense. Now that value density is starting to be taken away because we're having to build that price up higher. And so what gets hurt is the consumer gets hurt because they can't afford to get into the games that they want to, or the game that they're excited about doesn't come out because it literally was thrown into the ocean instead of shipped across, which has happened to friends with games. And I mean, it hurts everybody. It hurts designers that did the work, did all the editing, did all the play testing. The game's ready to go to market. Now the game's ready to go to market, and they're only going to make their minimum guarantee because that game never gets there and there's no royalties to be paid. It hurts every aspect, and it's happening on everything, not just our products.
At the risk of starting to lean a little political, I think the better question is, who is this helping?
Let's not go there just yet. Let's not go there just yet.
Because from my point of view, it's hurting all of us at every level.
Absolutely.
From the Chinese manufacturers to the publishers to the retailers to the wholesalers to consumers.
How does this hurt retail the most? How does it hurt you the most as a retailer?
Well, because now I'm trying to sell, what had previously been a $50 game to a consumer that's now $65 or $70. Yeah. Because
prices have to go up.
Yeah, or my costs go up and my profit margin gets eroded. And it's usually some combination of the two.
And on the publisher side, we've got the choice too. I've listened to people talking about this. So our costs have gone up by X. And the question is, well, are you going to try and make a profit off the X that it's gone up? Well, my cost basis has gone up. If I don't mark up the price for the whole effect of my costs, now I'm making less margin, and that reflects through. I can't hire as many people. I'm not going to be able to do as good of a job. I've got to look at cutting costs wherever I can in an industry that, let's face it, we do a lot of multitasking. We've got people that work very hard, and they could make more money in a different business often, but they're here because they love what they do. I love what we see here, people that come together around something they're excited about. Last week in the convention center, there was probably a convention selling medical prosthetics, right? Yeah. We get to get excited about what we sell, but
I'm
we're
a medical prosthetics fan, for the record.
Okay.
I never would have guessed that, by the way.
TMI.
but we're stuck in this situation where we have to choose where do we cut. If we add all of it, people are saying, why are you trying to take a profit off the tariff cost? But it's still a cost, and it's money that's tied up and invested.
But that's the thing. We're not taking any more of a profit than we previously were. Our operation costs are all going up because everything, and it's not even just about manufacturing the game. It's getting the paper to stock our Xerox printers. It's paying for our electricity. It's paying for every aspect. And again, if I'm lifting the veil too much of our industry, we are not a very high earning industry. We do this because we love this and we're able to make a livelihood. But this isn't video games. We're not at that level. So, I know. Some of us might be making video game money, but I'm not.
Not that I'm aware of.
I know, right? But so when we raise the costs, it's not to protect me as a CEO and what I'm taking home. It's to make sure I can still pay my employees.
We're protecting our people.
Yeah, we're pay my vendors. You know.
One of the people that's hurting. It's hurting our employees.
Yep.
Because I have to basically either let people go, dial things down. I can't hire new people.
No.
Also, I think this hurts our industry from point of view of innovation.
Yes.
I've been saying from the beginning, smaller companies drive innovation in this industry. Big companies rarely, I'm not saying never, I think big companies rarely innovate as much as they tweak as they go because they aren't as hungry. They're not as almost not as desperate.
Some of them are a little risk averse.
We are because we have our employees, tuitions and home mortgage, and we're risk adverse.
Right.
New companies, new designers bring the innovation here, and if they can't get a seat at the table because their games can't get made for a real price, they're going to stay home and they're going to do something else for a while, and that hurts us as an industry as well as hurts small companies as a specific problem.
Yeah, the tariff issue is different from COVID. We saw such a growth in games during COVID because people had the time to be innovative.
Yeah.
Now people are having to struggle to put food on their table, pay their bills, and keep their families safe. And we're not seeing the creativity.
From my point of view, it's frighteningly similar to COVID in that
way.
Really? Well, only because the way that I prepared for COVID was lots of inventory. And I sort of feel like, depending on how things get crazy, like inventory may be king, and I'm hoping this ends at some point and we can sort of...
It's similar to COVID in one other way. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
For sure.
Because if this is about building new factories in the States,
it's not.
Why is everything it would take to build a factory in the States more expensive by design? Why is the money that's coming in off of this not being set up in a fund in order to incentivize building new capacity?
Not going to happen.
Right now, every machine I would need to create a factory that could build board games is tariffed. The machines themselves are tariffed and more expensive than they were 5 years ago when people weren't building them because it wasn't affordable. There is literally a tariff on innovating and creating capacity. So the victory condition can't be what the rules say it is.
So one thing I saw, I was at Kickstarter from April 2020 till March 2025. And there was one period when I was head of games where we had our most successful years. Is that no, it's not my doing. That's the creator's doing. But I was just there to witness that. And it kind of started when Frosthaven said, and we worked on that campaign, and they were like, well, let's delay a month. They delayed a month, and they said, let's launch. And that made everyone feel comfortable during the pandemic, and everyone went, oh my God, we can stay at home and create games? This is pretty awesome. And everyone did that, and you had some amazingly innovative things, and you had some amazing creators come out of that, like Ducksomnia, the people who did Botany. They were wedding photographers that just said, like, I think we can do a game. And they raised $1 million, and they made something absolutely beautiful. It was a husband and wife duo. The wife said, I've never done graphic design before. Let me give it a try. And she gave it a try, and it was beautiful.
And beautiful and unique, and a new twist on design.
You're going to miss that because you have all these people that used to come from outside the industry and come in and bring these new ideas. And now I don't want them to be gun shy, but I think they're going to be. And you're going to see less innovation 2-3 years down the road because they're not coming in now and building up.
It's the knock-on effect, and that's what we've been talking about. Whatever happens today, it's the effects we're going to see 6 months, 6 years from now.
But there is competition. The good thing is that even though I was formerly a Kickstarter, there's now competition that is causing these platforms to kind of like, well, maybe we can balance our fees a little bit more. And those are the ways that those platforms can actually help creators and say, like, listen, I know you're going through some struggles. Maybe we can lower our fees a little bit.
Well, let's shift this to a little bit of a positive note now, because you brought up something a minute ago that this industry is fairly recession-proof.
Right.
I also think we're fairly, as an industry, tariff-proof. We're as a whole. But let's talk about the strength of the gaming industry and why the ones that are out there heralding doom and gloom, how this is going to break the industry, destroy the industry, why it's not going to happen. That while it will cost us, in certain areas, how will we weather this, and why can we? And could you start about the whole, you mentioned the density, the entertainment density. Could you please, a little bit on that, please?
Yeah, you go, in times of plenty, in previous economic crises, right? 2007, before the 2008 disaster that hurt a lot of people, you'd go see a movie 5 times. You'd go see it in the theater 5 times. But when money got tight, you would invest in a game. $50, I could get a game I could get 100 hours of entertainment out of, or more. Role-playing games, I can spend $150, and I can have a lifetime's entertainment out of that. Yeah, I want to engage and buy more, and I want to sell it to you. But as far as the value, the entertainment density of the products we have is tremendous. This situation is different in that it does take away that value density, but we're still fairly value dense compared to other ways to spend that money. It erodes it. It challenges us, absolutely. You are spot on. In the future, as far as people wanting to get into the business, it prevents perhaps the next sea change innovation is the next designer. I mean, a few years ago, no one had heard of roll and write games. Before 2000, collectible miniatures, what's that? Right? So, and collectible card games, all of these innovations that have come along usually have come from somebody coming in from the side, or a small business, someone that's willing to take that risk. That hurts long term. But for the short term, we are still the best entertainment value for the dollar.
Absolutely.
And we have to make sure we don't lose sight of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation, I guess it was a couple months ago at this point, with some industry friends, and the general consensus was that yes, during poor economic times, we do very well. We tend to do very well.
Right.
And I think that when the economy is very good, we tend to do very well because, sure, I'll spend $400 on that giant Kickstarter bundle, right?
Right.
Where we don't do great is the periods of economic uncertainty. And I will say, for my store, I mean, we have since rebounded, but trying to get my numbers right here, I think in April, which was about when stuff started getting hairy, my board game sales were down 25%.
Yeah.
March for us.
Yeah, and now, I was making it up in different ways, right? I mean, thank you, Final Fantasy Magic, But the conversation online in a lot of the board game communities that I was seeing was very much like, well, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Well, I have plenty of games. Right. And of course we all have plenty of games, but we all want plenty more, just like we need more dice, right? But it's the uncertainty that's the scary part.
Correct.
And as we continue forward through this, and it's, last night I got the news alert. The headline about the tariffs was Trump enacts tariffs on every country. That was literally the headline from a major
except
news
there was
source.
no news on China, oddly enough.
Right, but the headline was literally every country. And I'm like,
that's
wow,
not going to cause.
I don't even know what that
fear.
means.
No.
Right. Yeah, so it's the uncertainty, especially as we just continue to trudge through this, and the numbers are different on any given day. That keeps me up at night.
That's exactly what happened in 2020 April 2020 when the pandemic hit. And no one was launching crowdfunding campaigns.
Right.
I started. The pandemic hit. I was supposed to go into the office. I ended up being remote forever. It was great. But that hit, and everyone just paused. And they were like, I don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what this is going to do. And that uncertainty, everyone went, who do we look to? And then, thankfully, Isaac and Price and the Frosthaven team said, screw it, we're going to launch. And they launched, and it did amazing. And everyone went, oh, we can actually still succeed. So I think what we need is a few more examples of people succeeding, and hopefully the industry goes, oh, okay, I can do that. And in the meantime, I think the way to kind of weather the storm, at least what I'm doing, is trying to find the right partnerships. Like, if my company doesn't do something very well, I'm going to partner with somebody, and they can do it, and maybe I'll help them out. And I think that's the benefit that we have is we're a small industry.
Yes.
So, and we know everybody. I'm 1 degree separated from you. I don't think we've ever met, but I know you know somebody that I know. right?
Absolutely.
So like, ask around.
Absolutely.
Like, this is how we got into the industry. At least me. I asked my friends and everything, and everyone was so welcoming of like, yeah, I'll tell you some advice, this, that. If you're out there and you don't know what the hell you're doing, come up and ask me, ask Meredith, ask anybody, because we'll talk. There are some people that won't.
I call this show the family reunion. It's me and 72,000 of my closest friends.
Dude, I'm so happy to come to this.
Can I riff on one thing that you just
go
said?
for it.
I do want to say also that I want to say thank you to the manufacturers that showed up at this show in all this uncertainty and were able to bring product. And I hope that the ones that were able to bring new product and see it through benefit greatly from this show. I feel for the ones that couldn't.
Yeah.
I feel for the ones that the uncertainty was too much or the cost difference was too much and they couldn't make that game that they've been planning for this show. But thank you to every manufacturer that showed up with it, and may you sell out by 2 o'clock tomorrow and leave a bunch of happy people wanting more to come to your store and to come to my local game store. Hi, Zach. And I really want to make sure that we recognize that there's some people that took the Frosthaven move, right?
Yeah.
And said we're moving ahead because we've got to. Otherwise, we see the industry.
There's a lot of publishers here that, in conversations over the last couple of weeks, like, they're just not going to have what they had originally planned to be their Gen Con launch.
Right.
And I have one publisher friend that referred to upcoming Q4 as Q-Bore because they don't really have anything that they're going to release now because they've put everything on pause while they're trying to figure it out.
But that being said, there's a lot of publishers I've spoken to that were able to pivot, and they were able to bring something maybe not as grand to market, but they brought something new. And I did say, I was talking about, like, I do worry about the lack of innovation we're going to see from this. But that being said, I don't want this to sound so negative, but COVID, again, was a great time for game innovation. Now we're seeing 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 new board games every year. It's an onslaught of games. It's almost more games than people can buy in a year. And I think that this is going to allow a bit of leveling out for the industry, that it's going to suck for a lot of people overall, but it might be good to we start to rethink about making games with intent and making games that matter.
Well, and actually, you're leading right into what I was going to say, and I'll probably get some hate mail over this one, in that COVID was great for the expansion of the board game industry. If I'm looking for a silver lining at all, this might be good from the point of view of a lot of those people who came in, a lot of those companies who started up in there need to learn the business side. They've been skating on a decent economy, on crowdfunding, on just the fact there weren't any big roadblocks after COVID. Once the COVID shipping issue got resolved, things got kind of quiet and pretty easy to deal with for several years. Now, I consult with other companies all the time.
Yeah.
And the single biggest thing when I come to what do I do? I first say, well, what's your margin? And just something very simple. This should be an easy answer question. And when I don't say, what's that? Okay, I explain to them.
What's your EBITDA?
What's that? Yeah. No, just what's your margin? And then I say, well, just basic margin from the cost of goods to your final product. What are you doing? 4 to 5 times. I'm like, yeah, you should have changed your prices 6 months ago. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
They don't understand that because they came up through an economy that was booming, and you almost could do no wrong as long as you had a decent marketing channel or a sales channel or something going on. That's not going to be the case moving forward right now.
I mean, the retail tier
is ready. You got to learn your business, and they're getting a hard education right now. Those who take this as a lesson are going to be strong, powerful companies in a couple of years.
And Paul, I want you to go, but I do want to comment. Okay. I love my crowdfunding partners. I think crowdfunding is an amazing way for creators to get access to an audience.
Yes.
However, I think too many people and too many companies rely on crowdfunding as a way to fund their entire operation, and they don't think about the long-term knock-on effects of this. And I think it's really great if you've had one really good, successful crowdfund. But I see too many people falling into a trap where it becomes their business model.
Too easy. Well, we're going to come back to that question in just a minute.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to make sure we hit. Well, I had two great people here.
Well, and the challenge there too is I think it's while I agree with that completely, the other side of crowdfunding, it has become the default best way to market anything.
But that's the thing. Crowdfunding is an amazing marketing tool.
Yeah. Well, what I was just going to say though, just briefly, was that the retail tier has been talking about the impending board game bubble bursting for I don't even know how long at this point, and it never did. It never did. This might be the pin.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bubble. I just think there's the companies out there have got to tighten up, learn their business structures, learn what works. Just don't sit there and whine about it. And I'm not trying to call them all whine. I'm just trying to say there is definitely a lesson to be learned here. Catalyst came up with some rocky times. And because of that, back in the early 2012, 13, 14, when we hit COVID, when we hit this, we were ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wine and roses, but I'm saying we're not in trouble. Yeah. If this would have happened to me back in 2012, my company would be gone.
Yeah, and I think for me it's an interesting position because I came from a completely different industry into the board game industry, and in many ways I love the creativity here, but I see a lot of lack of financial planning, a lot of business structure that it's just certain things if people can do, and I hate to say it, do the basics. Read the rules and play by the rules and innovate on the rules. You're able to pivot.
Even game the rules, but know the rules.
Yeah, know the rules.
If you're going to break a rule, know why you broke it.
I mean, the fact I had to explain to my husband what a cash flow report was. I mean, it's astonishing to me sometimes that like there are some basic things that will help people weather these harder storms.
A difficult situation followed by easy times is the worst place to be in if you're a new company because you didn't get to learn the lessons you needed yet.
Exactly.
But let's go back to that, right back to what you said. How has Kickstarter made some things too easy, and what kind of a trap has that been? I'm sure you've seen a lot of these stories. I know
I got opinions.
So let's start right there then. You are our crowdfunding best expert here at the table.
Let's see. When I started in 2015, case in point, you could be pretty dumb and get something made. I got it made. I was good, right? But now the game has kind of changed where you have to do so much leading into the campaign. You got to run ads. You got to have a nicely designed page. The video has to be pretty good. You have to gameplay videos and influencer videos. All these things are standard now. So it's a pretty big hurdle to get into the industry now. But I think people have become complacent because not only has it been a great marketing tool, it's been a great profit center for so many companies that they've relied on it. And
it's a budgeted line item now.
Yeah, and they haven't looked at they haven't made relationships with you.
Right. And frankly, a lot of times it's like even selling wholesale, there's no margin left to even sell to me wholesale.
Right, because you're making a game for $10 and you're selling it for $30.
You're not making a business, you're making a game, which is fine and great. But you're not going to build any sort of longevity and have a series of games.
Right.
I mean, maybe you will, I don't know. I mean, I was just walking the floor yesterday with one of my free RPG Day business partners and longtime retailer, and we were just commenting on the number of these little companies that we've never seen before, that will never be in distro, that are just puttering along and doing great. And like right on cue,
there's nothing wrong with that if that is what you're aiming for.
Not at all. And right on cue, we walked past a booth where there was a gentleman showing off this game. There was a small box card game with a silly theme, silly meaning fun, a silly fun theme, and saying, and it's coming into Kickstarter in 3 weeks or whatever. And we were just like, and there it is. And would I ever put that on my shelf? Probably not. But there's probably no margin for him to sell wholesale to me. And the reality is, even if he succeeds, it's a probably one and done print run, and he'll go on to the next thing. Which, whatever, rock on.
Right.
But he probably still has a day job.
Right, exactly.
And has delusions of not having one.
And jumps from campaign to campaign and is like the next one. If I just do $1 million on the next one, I'm going to be good. And you're like, you're not probably.
If you're just trying to get games out into the world, great. But if you're trying to build a company so that you can quit your bank job or whatever it is that you do, then it's a very different equation.
The big box model of, hey, we're just going to crank out huge games and not really go to retail, I think is kind of dead or dying. Like, it's not doing well. And those companies just kind of became reliant on that stream from the water hose.
Yeah.
And that stream is now coming down to a trickle. And I think that I don't want to say companies going away is good, but I think that some companies will fade away, and that will make room for other people rising up.
Yes.
But I'm just concerned that kids walking by this panel, we're at Gen Con right now, you see kids walking by and you're like, oh, that kid's probably going to make an amazing game in 10 years.
Yep.
But if he sees the industry like this, he might be like, or she sees the industry like that, she might be like, I don't know. So you really, hopefully we can still inspire people who are younger to make things, and people like you and all of us can just pass off that knowledge. Still, we have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
I hope we don't lose sight of that.
Again, it comes right back to what you talked about earlier. This is an industry where, for the most part, we're happy to share information.
Yeah.
I talk with other publishers all the time, not in a collusion type
No.
manner, but in a, hey, I got this cool idea. I can't do it. It's not anything for my game, but it could be good for yours.
Yep.
And in the end, if we can, there is immense challenge right now. Not to go too Saul Alinsky, but the immense challenge means there's immense opportunity
Yep.
right now for the ones that can adapt to the new business, that can adapt, increase your value density more than you ever have before, so that this amelioration of it doesn't affect it, and you're still a good buy at the price that's available, and get product out, get it out in front of people. Don't make, now is the most important time ever, don't make mistakes somebody else has already made and could have warned you about.
Well, let's
Come
go back
to
the
Gamma. If someone's like, come to
Yes.
Gamma and ask us questions.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
take the free classes. You called it before some of the traps. A Kickstarter is a trap.
Yeah.
Can you want to expand on that real quick?
So-
how you see just
Yeah.
say one, at least just there's several traps in
There's
there.
several, I mean,
one of them.
For me, and maybe it comes from some lived-in experience, where as a company you become very reliant on that Kickstarter money to fund your next project, and that should never be a business model. You should. It's different. If you're a one-off game designer, you're designing your one game, you bring it to crowdfund, you use that to pay for it and come out, that is a great model. But if you are a mid to large size company and you are relying on that crowdfunding money to pay your staff, to pay your bills, to pay for not just that production run, but a future production run of something else, you are putting yourself into a stranglehold position where you're not making profit, you're not innovating, you're constantly having to chase that next dollar.
Because you need those retail
You need
dollars
those-
to
yeah.
afford your basic subsistence,
Subsistence,
and
yeah.
that is not sustainable.
It is not a sustainable business model, and we've already started to see some companies fold who relied.
names.
I'm not naming.
No
I'm
names.
just saying.
We know who they are.
Well, anyway, I'm not. But I'm just saying it was inevitable.
Yeah. That's the start of the trap.
Yeah.
The second part of this trap, and I'm sure you've seen this plenty of times.
Yeah.
People come to you say, "Can you please rescue me?" You start with a trap of you get used to that money
Yep.
to fund basic operations.
Yep.
And when that gets threatened, if you make one mistake, the market shifts on you even a little bit.
Right.
Suddenly, you don't need that money to pay for your next game. You need this campaign's money to pay for your last game. And when you're in
Yep.
there, you're in that spiral.
And you can get out of that spiral by just doing some basic things. Have relationships with your friendly local game store.
And
Talk to them.
distribution. And
Go to Gamma. Talk to distributors. Like it's a complicated model, but talk to distributors. And the thing that I try to encourage everyone to do is work on marketing outside of the Kickstarter. Like, for God's sake, there's a company I've been working with for 5 years. I'm just going to plug them, pollingpowermedia.com. They're amazing. They're
Who's
the
that?
nicest people. Pollingpowermedia.com.
Who's that?
Kyle. They're amazing.
I know. I was giving you a chance to plug it 3 times.
Yeah. So they're amazing. They're based in South Africa. They come to all the shows, and they have gotten me to the point where I just understand marketing so much better. And now when I'm starting my company, I'm like, I'm going to rely on that.
Well, Meredith said,
You know?
Kickstarter marketing is amazing. It is.
It
is
but it's a
amazing.
But it's not
to
the
the
end all
puzzle.
be all.
Narrow.
Exactly.
People need to
Exactly.
think about the full life cycle of a game, from from when you conceptualize it to when you produce it to when you sell it and when you shelve it.
Yep.
Like that is such it's so easy to bring the game to the doorstep to get your freight in and put it out, but what do you do after that first run?
Right. They should love your company,
Yeah.
not necessarily the game. They
Exactly.
should go, I know that Catalyst put this out.
So
I'm
let's
loyal
go
to
around the
Catalyst.
table, not counting Kickstarter.
Yeah.
What is a really good marketing channel or marketing plan that companies should be learning about, and not just assuming Kickstarter is the end-all, be-all?
Right.
You just mentioned a good one.
Yeah, I mean, and those channels do take a little bit of time to work out.
Sure.
It's not just Kickstarter,
saying-
you launch it
yeah.
overnight. It takes like 3 or 4 months to work it out.
Yeah.
But if you can get that going, and then now you're developing your own audience. Right now your audience lives on these crowdfunding sites. That's fine. But
Yeah.
you also want to hold and own that so you can then talk to those people.
So if you're going to suggest another marketing channel to start looking into, not crowdfunding,
No,
where
look,
would you
honestly,
send someone?
I don't, because I handle so much myself. Social media is such, even with how bad the algorithms are right now, good, consistent, authentic social media is we are storytellers. Why don't we use that skill to lead our social media? And I see companies and I see people. I always feel bad putting people on the spot, but someone I love watching, Ray Billings, who used to be with Check Game, amazing, absolutely phenomenal. If you find someone who is able to tell your story, if you're not able to do it yourself, and do it consistently, you need to be posting every day. You need to be doing product shots. You need to be showing gameplay or your product in use, and tell it from you. I don't like when a company relies on an overly polished outside marketing. That works great for Hollywood, right? That works great for my nail polish. But people want to see us. They want to see our stories. They want to see our gamer stories. And I have found, especially with TurboDork, because it's such a niche, beloved brand by our fans, they want to connect with Greg. They want to connect with that human condition. And I find that authenticity is key. And I would say this to any up-and-coming content creator who wants to come into the space and
be authentic.
Be authentic.
Right.
Because we can smell it.
Yes.
I'd also recognize your audience, and this gets to the issue where if you're focused completely on Kickstarter crowdfunder as your primary marketing arm, all of your marketing is going to be focused on end consumer. I need to focus. I've got products that I'm trying to sell into retail and through retail. I need to focus on what are the marketing hooks that a retailer needs to know about this product. I know the product. I should be communicating that. More to the point, what we can all do better as publishers is bring the marketing people in our company in on the ground floor of the product to make sure we coax out of that design marketing hooks for retailers, marketing hooks for distributors, and marketing hooks that pull in the end consumers. They're all related. But if I'm so focused on the reason the end consumer wants this product and I neglect to think about how it needs to be situated to be on your shelf and pull through your shelf, I'm doing a disservice to you, me, and end consumers that are never going to find it.
I mean, there are some publishers in this room behind us that I've seen at Gen Con every year for years. Their booths get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're doing something right. But they fail on my shelves simply because of their box design.
Something you could have fixed in a 5-second conversation.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's arty.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But that will never sell itself on my shelf.
Right.
Yeah. And unless I'm going to put the effort in to hand sell it, what am I going to get? Another 8 or 10 copies sold or whatever?
I'm sure you know, as a retailer, you can only champion so many games. So
Totally.
as publishers, I value my retail partners because I get feedback. I learn from them what helps sell my paint, and I try to give them the resources to lower the barrier of entry of how to sell my product.
Absolutely.
At some point, I want this industry to become more purposeful early on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I love that there's a lot, and I don't want this to stop. There's a lot of people that will make a giraffe game because they love giraffes. Cool. I love giraffes too. They're awesome. Let's make some giraffe games. But if you're going into that and going, I'm making a giraffe game, I need $1 million. Maybe do some research and see if maybe hippos are cooler than giraffes right now. Like, do a little bit of research before you jump full into these games.
You mean market research?
Yeah, I mean, that's a basic thing.
Or maybe Catalyst Games is publishing a giraffe game next month.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, like,
no spoilers.
Don't fight me on giraffes.
Or somebody will
fight me on
I'll fight you
will
with
hear you're
giraffes.
doing a giraffe game and come up with it before you can launch it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we're back to the D20 problem again there.
The number of times, I'm frequently a sponsor of Unpub, if you guys know what Unpub is. It's a
Amazing
convention.
organization.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Its main event is very close to where my store is outside of Baltimore. And the number of times that I've sat down and played somebody's prototype, and I'm 20 minutes in, and I go, oh, so this is like Game X. And they say, I've never played Game X. I'm like, oh, well, you should probably check that out. Oh, but this does this different. I was like, so it's a little more like Game Y. I've never played Game Y. I'm like, so there's other games that are extant out there already. You're reinventing the wheel, and it's not as good and will cost more to make, and the art direction is not as strong.
Yeah.
So,
and it can't be compelling because it's already been done. You just didn't know it had been done.
And if you just fucking talk, excuse me, if you just talk to people in the
no, my
industry,
ears.
if you just talk to people in the industry, like our mutual friend Matt Fantastic, he has like an encyclopedic knowledge of games.
Yeah.
I come up with ideas all the time, and I'm like, what about this game? And he's just like, dude, there's like 5 games like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, whatever, I guess I won't make that. But like, if you come to these shows and you just pitch your idea around, someone will say that, and then that'll save you hundreds, if not thousands of hours.
And don't be afraid to pivot, because you might have a solid rule set, but maybe the theme is something that's a little oversaturated. Don't be so precious about something that being able to take feedback from people who have been doing this, that it might help you. Because I've done a lot of pitch meetings, and I'd like to be honest with my feedback, but at the end of the day, there are some people who are like, well, I'm like, hey, look, that's your toy. You can take and go home. I'm just offering my advice. But you have to understand that very rarely, with everything that's going on, is someone truly innovating something in this industry.
Right. Well, it depends on
and
what
that's
your
okay.
It depends on what your goals are. Like, this is something I had to deal with at Kickstarter all the time. People would come to me and go, all right, I want to make this game. Here's a prototype. And I went, there it is. Do you want to do more? And they're like, well, I'd like to sell some. I'm like, okay, like 10? And they're like, no, like, I don't know, like 1,000? And I'm like, okay, cool. Now we're getting somewhere. But if you have goals with your thing, your goal might be, I just want to make a cool thing and walk around the con and give it away and get my name out there. That's fine.
Right. That's great.
A lot of people doing roll and write one sheets. Go make a roll and write one sheet. Walk around here. If your logo's loud and proud on it, awesome. You're going to get some hype, I guess you could say.
Well, of all the advice I heard about marketing, the one that really stuck with me was what I think Meredith said, be authentic. Whether it's Kickstarter, social media, coming to the conventions. Some of my best marketing is done right here at Gen Con.
Yes.
Not because I've got a big billboard out there and I'm selling a lot of games out there.
As we sit next to a huge logo of yours.
Well, I'm not against branding. Don't get me wrong.
No, really?
We are not.
How tall is that urban mech?
We are not 35 feet. We are not subtle. But the genuine feedback I get talking to our biggest fans and our newest fans, because I don't do social media well, not my thing, not my generation. I do Kickstarter pretty well because I studied it for a long time. Put me in a room full of people to talk to, I'll try to do a focus group really fast.
Yes.
And I will learn, and the more I learn, the better I do. Actually, what I say is the more I learn, the luckier I get. Everyone tell me how lucky Catalyst has been, how lucky I've been. It's like the harder I work, the luckier I get.
One of the things you taught me in this, and I think it was your phrase, listen to learn, don't listen to counter.
Yeah.
I need to be listening to what people have to say about this to learn why. Even if it's something that doesn't mean I need to change what they think. No. I need to be listening to learn, not listening to give them the counter about why that doesn't
I think it's good advice for life.
For life.
Outside of business.
I would not be where I am in this industry if it wasn't for me listening and me having people who were open and honest and took the time to talk to me and teach me about this industry. Be from my very first distributor, when they reached out and said, what are your terms? And I had to be, what are terms? To collaborating with even people outside of the war game and modeling industry, that we have our little Neon Alley collective that we bounce ideas off of and share and help and elevate each other. Because that is something that, well, maybe we play some competitive games, we also play a lot of cooperative games, and we are stronger together.
Rising tide lifts all ships.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I come to shows, I look around, and the reason I'm about to say is I'm about to call someone out. Chris Birch is sitting right over there from Modifius. And he's somebody early on.
Hi, Chris.
He's somebody early on who gave me the time of day when I was nobody and gave me a little bit of advice.
Same.
And I'm forever grateful for that.
I'm going to start. So we begin our 5-minute warning. I'm going to take what you just said right there. That's going to start tomorrow's panel.
Okay.
So all 5 of us are coming back tomorrow from 3 to 4 on new topics, and we're going to start right where you just said.
Okay.
The people who basically took us under their wing, gave us a helping hand. Like you said, this industry does not mind the competition.
Right.
We love it. We revel in it. So we're going to start there tomorrow. So right now we got a few minutes, real quick. Any wrap up from today's meeting? Any wrap up thoughts?
Keep on keeping on. Don't make avoidable mistakes. Right now, unforced errors are more costly than ever.
Or at least don't make them more than once.
Right. Don't make somebody else's mistake again.
Buckle up and try to be proactive about the future as best you can.
Yes.
Diversify your plans. Don't just focus on one channel. Make sure you have your omni-channel.
Learn the basics. If you don't understand financial accounting, learn how that applies to you. If you don't understand what a term is, ask someone. I mean, knowing the basics will help you succeed during these troubled times.
And my last wrap-up comment is going to be, tune in tomorrow from 3 to 4, where we're going to do this again, and we're going to start with the people who angeled us as we got started and go into some of our best business advice and whatever other topics we decide we want to cover.
Awesome.
So,
same cat time, same cat
channel? Same cat time, same cat channel. Thank you all, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.